Hi to everyone, it is Alessandro Martelli speaking, Istituto Internazionale di Architettura. We are sitting here with Francesco Buzzi. So Francesco, can you introduce yourself briefly?
I'm an architect. I studied in Zurich, then I have a practice almost 15 years now. We're working mostly in Ticino, but did also some works in the outside world. So for many years we had Buzzi. Now since this year we founded a new configuration, which is Buzzi Architetti, and we build mostly single-family houses, as is usual in Ticino, and then now we start to build something more public buildings and so on.
We have invited you to speak about your project in the context of the workshop which is called Living the Expanded House, which is a workshop actually addressing contemporary lifestyles and the way of living in the city of today. How do your project refer to this new lifestyle, or how do you understand the contemporary lifestyle from the experience of your practice as an architect?
I think of course, most of my work is based in Ticino, so it's a kind of very specific urban condition, which is a sprawl city, and I think we have to deal with the agglomeration, with the ever-changing condition of the contemporary suburban area. And so we try with our project to interplay with this kind of reality of the ever surrounding, creating on one side the privacy of the interior, which is the domestic quality of a house that should be preserved. On the other hand, I think we try to manipulate the boundary between the interior and the exterior in order to make the private domain to get more public and to have a more interplay between the private domain and the public realm, which is, I think, one of the basic issues that should be addressed nowadays. I think it's very important because we can see, especially in the single private domain, that the contact between the private domain and the public domain is getting more and more complicated, as we used to know in the historical cities. So I think now the duty, of an architect should be to address the public domain and to deal with it. The contemporary, I think, lies in the fact that we don't need to be too more. I think we try to make something that is not so short-living. The contemporary domain is very short-minded. Things change so heavily and so quickly, and I think we try to think of domestic architecture as a kind of infrastructure for living that can, as in the history of architecture, that can last more and more and more in the years. So I think we try to not to be too strict about the function, but to try to things that can function also. I think in a way is a kind of very sustainable attitude towards architecture, in fact.
You are one of these practitioners, the young ones, which in the European environment are rediscovering the autonomy of the project of architecture, which you can see also in your presentation, almost black and white, we were discussing before, as a way to deal with the context, which apparently looks to be a kind of contradiction. Can you elaborate on that?
I think that architecture is an autonomous, how can I say that in English? It's a kind of autonomous field. So since I am an architect, I need to use architectural tools. But at the same time, I think we have to deal. I liked that my architecture makes a dialogue with the environment. So I think I'm not coming with a project which is a UFO placed as an object. We don't treat our houses as objects, but as part of a landscape, which can be the city or can be the natural landscape we can see here in Ticino. So I think we try to grasp some ingredients from the outside, so that this relationship that was so clear in the history of the city can be also readdressed in another way. So we try to, with the reference, every project has to do in a structure, in its formal expression with the surrounding. So we try to make this relationship also, because we believe that in this way we can make a dialogue with the end, and also to try to make the context visible, because I think we are more and more confronted with the loss of the context. It's paradoxical. In a way, people are addressing the historical city, they are so nostalgic about the past, that should be preserved, and at the same time our historical context is more and more disappearing. So we try to find ways to deal with this changing condition and to make something that is expression of this changement in the city which is happening today.
For me, there is one thing which is very interesting. You just said that you have been speaking about the house in your project as a kind of infrastructure for the life, which apparently is a kind of urban approach, let's say, to design the house rather than really an architectural one. And on the other side, you also say that your attitude, especially in your conference, you are starting from the point that you come from this place, you come from Switzerland, from particular conditions Switzerland. Do you think that Switzerland represents a kind of spatial urban condition in which both the urban condition, the need of infrastructure, have got an incredible interplay with natural landscape and many other things? Can we use, in your opinion, a kind of paradigm? Is there a kind of urban identity in Switzerland that can be unique? Do you feel yourself as an urbanite?
I feel an urbanite, so it's quite strange to be in Ticino, because in fact Ticino is not a real city, but I think we have a long tradition of infrastructure, and also a tradition of infrastructure that deals with the landscape. So I think it's kind of it's part of my cultural heritage, and I think as I believe that nobody can work from scratch, I think that I inherited consciously or unconsciously this kind of tradition. But I think it's something that is not something unique of Switzerland. I think that infrastructure is one of the main features that should be applied urbanistically, but also in other contexts, and I don't think it's something so unique of Switzerland. Of course, we have this tradition, but I think it can be applied all over the world. I think we are interested in finding the structure and the infrastructure, so I think it's something that if you think also about it's a way also to think about what is the core of architecture, what is the core of urbanism. If you think how a city grows, think about the Romans or also the Chinese today. They first place the streets, and then the building comes after. So I think it's a kind of reminding us also of this way things grow. I think has to do with it. So we always try to set these principles, but something that can last. So I think the street is the beginning of architecture. So I think it's a kind of a natural way of thinking about architecture in general, not just housing. So.
Francesco, many thanks. That was all, and thanks again for your engagement in E2a and your lecture. Bye to everyone.